Okay, Chair, I'll bring in our last case.
All righty.
Okay, this is everybody who was in our waiting room.
Okay. Thank you. We're going to move forward with hearing DD, consideration of penalties for violations of Section 51A8, school district personnel violations, and Section 52B, school violations. Number one, Jose Yebra, and number two, McAllen Rowe High School. And I don't think there's a need, Mr. Beasley, for any comment from you as we move forward. Is that correct? You agree?
That is correct.
All righty. We're going to get started by making sure that we get everyone introduced here. And please unmute. We've got Robert Flores. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Who's with you there?
My athletic director, Brian McClenny.
All right.
My assistant athletic coordinator, Magda Canales.
Okay, as each speak, make sure that you turn the camera to them so we can see them. We got you pretty well in the middle right now.
Yes, sir. You got it.
All right. Then we have Maria Canales.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you're here with, okay. And then we have Edric Pacheco.
That's actually Marcus Kaufman. I'm the athletic coordinator at PSC North. I'm the DEC chair.
DEC chair. Thank you. Your name again, please.
Marcus Kaufman.
Thank you, Marcus. All righty, and we've got Coach Yebra.
Yes, sir. This is Coach Yebra. I'm having trouble getting my camera. I don't know if you can see me, but
No, we can't see. We can hear you, and that's the most important thing, Coach. All right.
Okay.
If you want to keep working on that camera, get after it. But we'll be fine without it. And then we've got Alfredo Gutierrez.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
And your role?
Principal at Nikki Rowe High School.
Yes. All right. Is that everyone, as far as we know?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please unmute all of you again. We're going to ask you to raise your right hand and be sworn in. Caroline's going to do that. Go ahead, Caroline.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you will present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Okay. We have a recruiting issue that's being discussed here, and potentially, of course, consequences for a coach if that is upheld. And also, we're dealing with the school itself to see what kind of consequences might come to them based on what's happened. Who do I start with when it comes to let's go to the AD. Brian, is that correct? McClenny?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, Brian, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk a little bit, and we're going to get right to this. There was the initial letter that we received, that UIL received from you folks, was dated the 14th of December, I believe. Correct?
Yes, sir.
And let me just highlight that real quick. It was a response to an inquiry that came to you when? Do you remember when that came to you?
Came in on October 26th.
October the 26th?
Yes, sir.
That's 2 months nearly that it took you to respond. And then very simply, it said everything was in compliance. Coach Yebra does not have a team in Mexico. Reality, well, we'll talk about reality in a minute. Not changing for athletic purposes and not recruiting. No contact by Coach Yebra prior to enrollment.
Yes, sir.
That was your you did your, what would we call that? You did your report based on what I would assume was an investigation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we started on
And
October
you came
27th.
up really empty and really way off base, correct?
Well, we started on the 27th, and it was
27th of what?
October. That's when we brought in Coach Yebra. We shared with him the information from UIL, and then we started the investigation at that point. It was me, Mr. Gutierrez, Coach Canales, and Coach Flores. And we looked at, it was basically an accusation of 10 kids from Mexico. Eight of those players were supposedly on JV. We had 2 players from Mexico that the previous year were continuously enrolled, 365. Those were cleared by the DEC. We went ahead and did a PAPF on all the other 7 sub-varsity. So we just used that process to investigate, ask all the questions on the PAPF. And then we had 1 student athlete, and along with parents and coach, that basically there was incorrect and untrue information on the PAPF. Every one of these students were an open enrollment district, so they were in compliance with all the transfer and admission policies of McAllen ISD. So we went through the process. We went through the PAPF process. 2 of those kids were cleared, including the one that there was incorrect and untrue information on the PAPF was also cleared. And then that was just based on the facts that we had at that point. You know, the preponderance of evidence, the facts. We interviewed Coach Yebra. We went back and made sure we did the PAPFs on those 7 sub-varsity kids, making sure that we were very transparent with also the DC. And then basically, you know, found out that we got an inquiry in February.
All right, let's stop right there.
Mhm.
So you still stand behind the report that you made in December, that based on the information that you had at that time, everything was rosy?
Yeah, everything, the information that we had at that time, you know, interviewing the coach, interviewing also all of the parents or guardians as far as the PAPF. And, you know, you hope that people aren't giving you untrue and incorrect information on really a legal document as far as the PAPF. You know, it states at the bottom, you know, make sure that the information is correct. Make sure it's not incorrect and untrue. So that's kind of where we're at right there. As far as at that point, we didn't have any evidence, no evidence whatsoever as far as recruiting, until we got all of the messages from.
Right, and that started February the 2nd.
Yes, sir.
You got a parent that called to complain about Coach Yebra and y'all in treatment of their son.
Yes.
Coach Flores called the parent.
Mm-hmm.
Info started coming in, and y'all did your investigation. And here's what you found. We had a student athlete that changed schools for athletic purposes and was recruited.
Yes.
That's y'all's findings.
Yes, sir. Because he was contacted prior to enrollment, which goes against, I believe it's number 16 on the PAPF. He was sent information regarding apartments during that time, also prior to enrollment. So there was contact absolutely prior to enrollment, but we did not have any of that information before until this parent provided the information, the WhatsApp messages, the WhatsApp recordings, and so forth. And this, in this situation, it came down to, you know, the parent reaching out to us on February 2nd. And we met with the parent on a conference call with Mr. Gutierrez and so forth. It was all in Spanish, so we were going from Spanish to
Seen them
English,
all. Yeah.
you know, translating and so forth. Parent said, I do have information. We said, will send us that information, send us the facts, and then we'll move forward. As soon as we got the information, we met with Coach Yebra. He admitted to everything. He took responsibility in that meeting. And at that time, that's when we suspended him from his coaching duties. And that's when we had somebody take over his coaching duties the last 2 games. And as soon as we got this information, I made sure that I called Mr. Beasley and also Coach Kaufman, the DEC chair, to let them know this is the information we have. These are the facts that we have at this point, and I just wanted to keep them in the loop and be transparent to make sure that, I mean, we're not here to hide anything. We're here to do things right. This district's done an excellent job as far as holding up a standard of excellence. Our previous athletic administrators have done an excellent job. Our athletic directors, Paula Gonzalez and Papi Rodriguez, have done an excellent job of establishing that. And my job is to make sure that that continues. And at the end of the day, I am the athletic director of McAllen ISD, and it falls on my shoulders. So we want to make sure moving forward that we review all of our process, which is we've already met with every athletic coordinator, assistant coordinator. We reviewed section 442 plus the PAPF process, our home visit process. We've gone over again section 409 as far as recruiting, section 443, change schools for athletic purposes. We went over the educators code of ethics. We went over the athletic code for coaches. We went over section D personnel and the local school board policy to make sure that everybody knows we are held to a high standard and we cannot be misrepresenting the facts during an investigation. So we went over all of that. Section D personnel highlights, especially DFBB local, for term contracts. There's about 34 things there that basically holds every educator to a certain standard. And we want to hold that standard, and we want to be transparent, and we have nothing to hide. It's just at that point, we did not have the facts. It was all accusations. And as all of y'all are, previous administrators and so forth, when somebody comes up with accusations, the first thing you ask is, where are the facts? Where's the preponderance of evidence? And so we went through that. Once this all did happen again, we went through the whole process. We self-reported to the DEC. We had a DEC hearing. Another thing that we did was we made sure during this whole process that we printed out all the enrollment information on those 10 kids to make sure that they were on the up and up as far as meeting our standards of enrolling in McAllen ISD. So we double checked all of that. All of the other 9 students, we went back again and asked them 2 questions. Did anyone contact you from Rowe prior to enrollment? So we asked that again. And were you recruited to play basketball at Rowe? And I know that Mr. Gutierrez had some meeting with some of those parents, guardians, and so forth. And we went back, we made sure we called all of them. We made sure that we asked all the students the same thing. Were you recruited? Did anyone from Rowe contact you prior to enrollment? So we wanted to make sure that we covered all of our bases there as far as that. Now, again, I'm the athletic director, so it falls on me. And, no news is good news until you have bad news. So we are going to make sure that we review all of our processes and make sure we did come up and made sure that we tighten up our process on home visits because of the 3 high schools, they were really not standardized. Everybody was kind of doing their own system or process to do home visits. We collaborated as high school coordinators, assistant coordinators, AD, assistant AD, to make sure that we had a process, because even in documentation training 101, if it's not written down, it didn't happen. So each school had their own process, and we took some good from even schools outside of our district to learn from them. We're pretty tight down here in the valley as far as ADs and assistant ADs and coaches, and sharing systems and process to make sure that we not only, number one, protect our kids, protect our programs, but also protect our coaches. And so we revamped our home visit process to make sure that that was tight. That can be uploaded also in the portal with the PAPF. That way we're transparent. Also with anybody on the DEC that wants to look, hey, all right, they did their due diligence. They did a great home visit.
So Coach, what you're telling me is you've taken this seriously.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Because I've been in this game 30 years and I've taken my job very serious for 30 years. And this
Okay.
is something that, you don't want. You don't want to be in trouble. You don't want kids to be affected because of decisions from adults. Because we're in the kid business at the end of the day. And
Yes, sir.
we want kids to be part of extracurricular activities. And I think our district's also done a great job of making sure that kids are a part of extracurricular activities, and including our recent immigrants, including them, making sure they're connected with the school. Of course, down here being on the border, we do have a lot of kids that do come from Mexico.
Right.
We do have a lot of kids that are here for their first year, and we want to connect them and make sure that they feel comfortable in our district with things that they like, whether it's fine arts, whether it's athletics, whether it's bio and so forth.
All right, Coach. You can slow her down here a little bit now. Just know that the fact that you're taking this seriously, and that's very evident, is great. And one of the things that we've got to look at today is there anything that needs to happen as far as you folks are concerned, as far as the school is concerned?
Yes, sir.
We're gonna talk first about Coach Yebra here in a moment, but just know that the fact that you are being diligent and all is going to be helpful to you in that sense. I think the one question I have left for you, and others may have some, but very simply, the previous athletic participation form on this young man that brought all this about, when the parents called all that, was the previous athletic participation form was not accurate, correct?
Right. Yes, sir. It was not accurate.
Okay.
And I think we put those bullet points in there on the ones that should have been checked.
Yeah, you did.
Than they
And we
were.
appreciate that. Yeah, numbers 3, 5, 6, 7, and 8, I
Yes,
believe,
sir.
were
Yes,
the
sir.
ones that you mentioned. Let's talk about his home visit, because you mentioned the fact that y'all had never had anything standardized and all. But I think one of the most and we're going to talk to Coach about it real quickly. Matter of fact, we're fixing to get to him.
Yes, sir.
Is the fact that he was, in your mind, was he staging that situation? Was he talking to those parents, telling them, hey, not just for the PAPF, but for the whole situation, hey, need to be here some, and just a lot of things that weren't on the up and up. Is that what y'all came up with?
That's what we came up with after, we got that information in February. And, at the end of the day, we have a code in this business, and we expect everybody to be upheld to that code. And you want to believe in people that they're telling you the truth. You want to believe in people that they are filling out paperwork properly. And at the end of the day, we're going to have to make sure that we take that to another level as far as, the home visits and so forth, probably getting somebody outside of athletics to do those visits, on the initial one, or make sure that somebody not tied to athletics does that, along with the coaches and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But you're absolutely right. Yeah, we did not at that time think that he was staging anything or setting up anything, because we didn't have any other reason why that would be happening.
All right. Now, we're going to anything else for the AD here? Yes, Mr. Beasley, excuse me.
Yeah, we kind of look alike, but
You got the same hairdo, let's put it that way.
exactly right. I looked at your first report that you sent me in, I guess it was December 14th, And the accusation was there were kids coming from Mexico to Nikki Rowe. That was the accusation.
Yes,
But
sir.
you reported back that there were some kids, I don't know how many in the same household with the guardian from Mexico. How many of those kids were actually on the basketball team? Because I think, we'll answer that question.
How many were on the basketball team?
That
As
were in that
far
one house.
Well, there were 10 kids from Mexico. So
But-
two,
But in the household with the guardian. And
I can answer
Yeah.
that, sir, because Mr. Martell had some kids. There were 1, 2, 3, 4 kids that were in the basketball program. One kid that's no longer here with us was in the football program.
but were they in the same household?
Yes. From what they.
I'll give you a recommendation.
Mhm.
And did they all of them go to Nikki Rowe, or did they go to other schools in the valley?
The ones that
All
were
Nikki
reported
Rowe.
to us, sir, were the ones that we knew about here enrolled at Nikki Rowe High School, sir.
The ones in that household that were going to Nikki Rowe that were playing basketball. So my deal is the accusations that he's recruiting kids from Mexico. And you got 4 kids from Mexico in the same household going to Nikki Rowe. I suggest you send that to your DEC, because that's for me, those kids move for athletic purposes. They're all 4 in the same household with a guardian. And did you let your district executive committee know that situation?
no, we filled out the PAPF on all of
Because
those.
4 kids from Mexico in the same household at
Mhm.
Nikki Rowe playing basketball.
Mhm.
For me, as a former basketball coach,
Mhm.
I guarantee you, if you hand it off to somebody else in the district, it would raise a red flag. That raises a red flag. So I suggest next time you have 2 kids from Mexico in the same household playing on the team, you may want to get your blessing from your DEC.
Yes, sir.
And I understand meeting your transfer policy and meeting the parent residence rule, but they could organize themselves to come to your district to go to that school. But the accusation was that was kids on your school team,
Right.
and it doesn't matter if they're varsity, JV, freshmen.
Okay.
There's 4 of them that raises a red flag. I'm just telling you,
Yes,
next
sir.
time that needs to, if something like that happens, where you have more than 1 kid, it needs to go to your DEC to get their blessing.
Okay. And we'll report that immediately today.
Okay.
We will take care of that.
All right. We're
Thank
gonna go to Coach Yebra at this time. Thank y'all. We'll get back to you. Coach Yebra, you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here. I'm still having trouble with the video, so
All right, that's all right. We got you on the audio.
yes, sir.
All right, Coach. Yes, you made some mistakes, did you not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I made a mistake, and it started off by I received and I sent a text message by email where Justin Arguelles, which is the student athlete, contacted a friend of mine from Monterrey.
Yeah, Coach, we got all that. We really
Okay,
do.
so I'm not gonna. So yes, I made a mistake by talking to them. I made a mistake by answering all their questions. I made a mistake by providing apartment place for them to live in. I made a mistake. All of those mistakes at the time, I did not feel like I was violating anything, because my intention was never to, or never have my intentions have ever been to recruit any kid. I was helping them to, because they were asking me for all this information, and I provided it. At the moment, I didn't think that I was doing wrong. Once I met with my AD, and I saw everything, it kind of just, everything fell right in front of me. And I accept that I made that mistake, and I accept that it's only my responsibility. I feel bad for our athletic director and our coordinators and our school district for going through this situation on my mistake. you know, I feel for everybody, and I'm even, you know, I regret the mistake that I made, you know, but in no means that I ever know the kid or the family, because even the father states that he did not meet me, or the parents that never knew me until after they were already here in McAllen. They had never spoken to me. I have never seen a kid, so I don't feel that I'm going to recruit someone without me knowing who he is, or whether he plays or he doesn't play. All right, so that was never the intention.
You continued to, and I used a poor word. I used the word mistake because some of these, you know, this is more than mistakes. These are actions that are egregious and all. But you did a lot of things here that were not inside the rules and regulations and the intent that's behind UIL. You took an old kid, you know, one of the things that we hear a lot and the things that we teach and that we talk about is if someone contacts you as a coach, your job is to say, hey, go to school, go to school, go to school. You're not to be involved. You involved yourself totally with this young man.
Yes, sir.
And there were some things that happened, and you can deny them if you want to, but I have a hard time understanding why the parents would say, when I saw the coach at school, he told them not to act like they knew him. And when they took a photo with Justin and the family, you didn't want them to post it. And those kinds of things, those are the actions of someone who's guilty and knows it, Coach. Do you know that?
Well, and I never said that. I went to the front office. How would I not? How would I not want anybody to see me with them when I went to the front
I don't
office?
know. I'm just telling you what the family
That's what they
said. But
said.
what we do know, Coach,
Mhm.
is that you were involved in communicating with this family, and a kid ended up at your place.
Yes, sir.
You falsified the previous athletic participation form, correct?
I did not. I purposely I did not do it. They answered those questions the way they wanted to answer the questions.
You knew that they weren't living there the whole time. They told you. You knew that.
Yes.
Yes,
I,
and you answered that they were. So
Mhm.
don't tell us you didn't purposefully do that, Coach.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay.
All right. I want to know from any other committee members, you have any questions or comments for Coach Yebra? Yes, Mr. Colbert.
Thank you, Chair. Coach, I've got just a few questions for you. First question is, how long have you been coaching?
I've been coaching for 32 years.
Okay. And so you've been coaching like at the UIL level? I'm talking about UIL coaching.
Yeah, 32 years. Yes, sir.
So you've been coaching for 32 years
Yes, sir.
and you never thought to seek out some advice or guidance on the situation with these students?
Yes, sir. I never did. I regret. I will regret it for the rest of my life.
And so you also are very familiar with the policy, rules, and guidelines of UIL, obviously, because you've been coaching for 32 years,
Yes,
correct?
sir. Yes, sir. I do.
And you didn't think that the optics of this whole situation didn't look suspect to you?
At the moment, I didn't, because they told me they were going to live with them and they were going to be there. I didn't
So,
think about the contact the contact before that.
so
To
I'm gonna kind of rebound off of what the chair said here a second ago. You know, with your level of experience, you
Mhm.
should be serving as a mentor for younger coaches and
Yes, sir.
guidance and being able to advise them. But yet you're sitting here claiming ignorance, that you're clueless, that all of this
Mhm.
just was a big accident. And I'm not buying that at all.
Mhm.
And, you know, if really what you should be doing is coming here and completely fessing up to everything, expecting some leniency, which you have not done, because we're going to
Yeah.
ultimately make a decision to determine the scope of your consequences.
Yes,
And
sir.
I think that you were intentful and you were tactical and you failed. And now you're caught. And so you're going to have to deal with that. That's all I
Mhm.
have, Chair.
Thank you. Any others have a comment? Dr. Cavazos, did I see your hand up a while ago? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just have a couple of things that for the coach. I'm trying to get to the point where if the parents had not produced evidence, whether you would still be sticking to the original story that resulted in false investigation by your AD. That's what I'm struggling with. And because short of evidence, and the AD has made it very clear, we didn't have the facts. But you did have a coach who basically lied. I mean, that maybe not the appropriate word, or falsified, but this goes beyond this coach for me, in the sense that there, even at this point, there's an attempt to say, to skirt the issue of how much do I assume responsibility for. And I'm going to go a step further, is that the initial allegation should have been enough red flags that it was a stop, look, and listen for everything, for every sport, not just basketball. Because you have to begin to wonder, how is it that this could even happen with a 32-year veteran under your watch? And so in most situations, there's a stop of everything, and everything is reviewed for every sport, and in some cases for multiple years, because this is egregious. This is a very serious situation. And when I reviewed the testimony of the parents, while initially the benefit of the doubt is to the coach, but then you get all these facts, his benefit of the doubt almost disappears. And the parents very clearly say in their testimony, you have other kids who he has recruited and has spoken to the coach in Mexico. Very clearly, the parent is not just telling the story. That was alarming to me, that we're just speaking of one student today. However, having said that, you're probably wondering, well, where's the question? The question that I have is for the AD, is the residency check and 4 students living in one home, and there's a pattern here and all of that. You're new, but Flores is not, and others are not. And I saw on the tape where Coach Yebra wants to take full responsibility. But I think there's degrees of responsibility. To the first degree, he's responsible. But then there's multiple degrees of responsibility here, because there's a pattern here that surfaced in the initial outcry, not the second one. In the initial outcry, there was enough there to say, we got to stop here. We got to find out how much there is here. And so that's where I'm struggling, is it really here, or is it the program? That's a question we're going to have to ask ourselves.
Yeah, and the fact that we have the opportunity not only to deal with Coach Yebra, but to look at their programs a little bit here, I think going to speak to what you're talking about. But well done. Thank you, Dr. Cavazos. Mr. Gonzalez.
Coach Yebra.
Yes, sir.
Do you still see, excuse me, do you still see yourself as making a mistake, or falsifying statements, or being deceitful?
Yes, sir. Not making a mistake, accepting responsibility, like they mentioned, and I truly regret doing anything that jeopardized my career, everybody.
But would you consider it now still a mistake, or falsifying statements, or being deceitful?
Let's say falsified statements, sir.
That being said, sir, do you think besides yourself, who else is paying the price?
I regret that the kids had to pay the price. Our school district, our coaching staff, our parents, everybody in the program, because of what I did.
Yes, sir. And I would go with your, I think your AD is doing an incredible job, or a faithful job, should I say, at the minimum, on trying to get this corrected and to move this forward. I'm a little bit disappointed that the rest of the coaching staff or the rest of the people didn't come and help out with the AD situation, but the consequences are heavy. The consequences, you made it sound like a mistake. It's way past a mistake, a long time ago, and there'll still be a mistake according to you had you not had received a phone call from a parent. Would that be a yes or a no?
That is a yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Mr. Motherall,
Further comments? Yes.
real quick, Mr. Motherall. Coach
Mr. Wade.
Yebra, I guess I'm still trying to get the answer I think Dr. Gonzalez was looking for. You say it was falsifying documents, so you knew what you were doing was wrong. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I don't know how to say it, but I don't know how to explain it, but it didn't click on me until late of everything that went on. Not at the moment that we did the paperwork, but then later on, yes.
So after 32 years, you didn't realize this is not the way you have kids coming to your building.
Yes, sir. Well, and just to explain about all the other kids, I don't know any other kids. People in Mexico know me. I've been around Mexico since I was young.
I'm not speaking of that. I guess I think you may have answered that you knew what you were doing was wrong. Is that correct or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Gutierrez,
Yes, sir.
anything you want to close with? Anything you want to say?
Yeah, well, I just started the job there at Nikki Rowe High School. I was given the privilege and the honor to serve as a principal in October, and I kind of walked into this situation. And I've known Mr. McClenny for a while. Mr. McClenny was a principal there in our district, and we were colleagues. So when we walked into it, I'm used to doing investigations on the principal side of it. So I'm pretty familiar with the investigation process. I've been a principal. This is my 11th year as a principal. So when this came to us the first time, they were allegations that were being made anonymously through UIL. But the next day, Mr. McClenny contacted me, and we started working together on trying to find out the truth based on these allegations. And we want to give people the benefit of the doubt, right? I had no history with Coach Yebra. I've never worked alongside Coach Yebra before I started working at Nikki Rowe High School. So the first thing is we give that person the opportunity to say on their behalf how they respond to these allegations. And to our face, he told us that those allegations had no merit. But we still did our due diligence, and we questioned those students. We questioned their parents. I started learning because I had been at a middle school before, so I wasn't very familiar with the PAPF process and that investigative process. So we went through the PAPF process and questioned, and we didn't have a smoking gun. We didn't have any proof when those first allegations came to be. Did it pass like the smell test or the eye test, all of the stuff that you all have been saying about kids living in the same household, all these kids coming from Mexico and being involved in the basketball program? Well, you know, it looks a little suspect. It does raise flags, but what we can do is we can investigate the best way we can, ask people directly, ask the parents, ask the student athletes, ask the guardians. Did they meet the requirements to enroll in our district? All of these students have met the requirements to enroll in our district. Do we have other students that come from Mexico and are staying with guardians? Yes, we have a lot of students that are coming over from Mexico and staying with guardians. So the first go around, we did our due diligence
Right.
and we didn't have a smoking gun. But then come February, then a second allegation comes, and this time we get the parent on the phone, and the parent starts having more allegations, right? And then he starts sending those messages to my cell phone, to my personal cell phone. I started receiving those messages, the proof of the communication and the violations, and we acted immediately. As soon as we had the proof, me, Mr. McClenny, our athletic coordinator from the campus, Mr. Flores, we took the steps to remove him from the program while we further continued the investigation. We were very transparent with communication with Mr. Beasley, with the DC, and we faced this head on. Like I've had to have conversations with the parents and the student athletes that were affected, because that's the biggest thing out of all this, is that it impacted kids and it impacted parents. We had to forfeit games. We had to forfeit all the games that these kids participated in. The kids might have been eligible for the playoffs and they missed out on that opportunity. We had some seniors on the team that missed out on that opportunity. So that's the hardest part. And what was explained to the parents was adults made mistakes, and the ones that paid the consequence were the kids. And dang, in our business, that's the toughest part, because we're here for kids.
Okay.
Right. So.
All right. We appreciate that. Yes, Dr. Cavazos.
I have a question. First of all, I want to thank you, Mr. Gutierrez, and the AD. I want to thank you all for the work that you do. But I do have a question, because you just stated that he was removed from the program. You know, as you started investigating, has he been permanently removed?
Yes, sir.
He is no longer an employee of Nikki Rowe High School. He's transferred over to another school. He's no longer coaching.
Okay. And I guess my follow-up to that is, what tipped the scale for that action for you as the building principal and for you as the AD? What tipped the scale?
For me, it's proof, because again, I've been in this business for a while, and that's what it takes, right? We need evidence, we need proof, whether I'm disciplining a student or like I need actual proof, or else then it's he said, she said, and we make decisions based off of that sometimes, right? It's real easy when you have proof. When you don't have proof, that's when that's their gray area, where sometimes you have to make decisions without proof. At the initial, we didn't have any proof that any of this was going on.
And then from,
go ahead. Go ahead.
And then from my perspective, because I believe you asked both of us, it comes down to the code of ethics. It comes down to Section D personnel. When you're doing an investigation as an employee of a district, you have a code, and there's specifics there. You're not to misrepresent the facts during an investigation. You're not to falsify records. You're not to, on and on and on. And all of y'all, sorry about that. All of y'all know, Section D and so forth. So from my perspective and Mr. Gutierrez's, that was a tipping point. That took it to another level, because at the end of the day, as a supervisor, when you're asking somebody a specific question and they misrepresent the facts to you, then that's tough. That's tough. And board policy goes over that. Section D personnel goes into that. And also, the athletic code and the Constitution and contest rules also goes over that. We have a code in our business, and we got to make sure we button up, and we got to make sure that we're professionals, and we got to make sure that we're doing things right, because at the end of the day, we are here to take care of kids at the end of the day.
So you heard the line of question by Dr. Gonzalez and a couple. Is this the first time you hear I falsified documents?
When we, in the February, yes, sir.
No, today. He just admitted that he falsified in your investigation and everything up to today. Was this the first time you heard him accept I falsified the documents?
He stated during that time. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I believe so. I think how it's been explained before by Coach was that he made a mistake and that he was unaware. But I think today was a little bit different.
So, and the reason that I'm asking that point of clarity is because what you're hearing today you may not have gotten that far, and you leaned on the preponderance of the evidence, right, to take action. This
Right.
takes it to a different level.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Zepeda.
Yeah, I do have one real point, and I'm going to be as brief as possible. The original allegation that we contacted you guys about in October was that there were multiple kids, and Daryl, if I misrepresent this, please jump in, that there were multiple kids that had been recruited from Mexico that might be possibly living together in a house. And that's what I think initially had asked you to investigate. You know, everybody here has seen the document that you sent back to us a couple of months later, which basically indicated that there was no substantiation to any of that. But what there was some substantiation to was that there were multiple players, as you mentioned, in the same program that were living in one residence, and I think another member of the DEC mentioned, of the SEC mentioned, that causes a level of concern about the additional players in this investigation and how the mechanism for how they got there to Nikki Rowe High School. Right. And so I think I have some additional concerns about the entirety of this situation, the relationship of Coach Acuna to your coach. Again, Coach himself doesn't necessarily need to recruit personally to have to be complicit in recruiting that's going on his behalf with other people outside of the program. And just reading the totality of information here, I've got serious concerns about all of this. And I would just suggest that you take a fresh look at all of this. Absolutely. And if necessary, report back to the DEC.
Yes, sir. And I'll take full responsibility for that. That's on me.
Let's talk to our DEC chair very quickly. We've been here a while. It's time to make some decisions, but our district chair has been very patient and quiet there. And you've heard a lot of information today. Anything that you want to say to us, please, very, very succinctly.
The only thing we were going to talk about was what I was going to say was that we had the meeting February 14th on the last one with to talk about this stuff, and it got so in depth and there were so many moving parts, and we just decided just to send it to the state because we didn't want to really mess it up because there were so many parts. We didn't want to accuse anybody of anything. We wanted to be fair to everybody and let somebody look at it with a fine-tooth comb, everything that was going on.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir. Well, Mr. Zepeda, your comments were very on point. And, we didn't bring up every aspect of everything today, but we could have gone into the coach at Mexico and all that's there because there's a lot there. He denied initially having any ties, or the report was he didn't have any ties in Mexico as far as a team or anything, but he has a professional team. He even said he had now has a school age team over there. So there are a lot of connections there, and you're correct. Recruiting is not just about one guy going out and doing it. It's about networking at times and those kinds of things. So appreciate that. But it is time for us to do some. Coach Yebra, last comment from you. Anything before we make our decision?
Last comment. I want to apologize again for everything that I done. I have learned my lesson. I have learned that it was a horrible situation that I was part of, and I regret everything from the moment that all of this started. And I did it on my report. I apologize to the parents, to our administration, to everybody. I have never been part of anything like this. And like you mentioned, for me to do it at after 32 years, it's embarrassing for me, and I am very, very sorry for it.
All right, Coach. Well, it's time to make some decisions. First of all, about Coach Yebra, and I will say we have set a very specific. We have dealt with several of these recently, okay? And we've been very specific about what we're doing here as far as recruiting is concerned. The minimum penalty is a public reprimand, obviously, and then up to 3 years suspension. And I will tell you, that we have doled out 3-year suspensions in situations very similar to this, okay? And we're talking about for Coach Yebra for UIL activities for three years is what that's been our standard as of late. Right?
Okay.
And I'm just telling you, as a committee, that's what we've been doing. I'm open to a motion from anyone. Yes, sir, Mr. Colbert.
I would like to make the motion that Coach Yebra be suspended from coaching all UIL extracurricular activities for 3 years, that he be public reprimanded, and he served 2 years probation at the once he's reinstated into coaching.
Okay.
I second.
We've got a motion for 3-year suspension, 2 years probation if and when he comes back, and a public reprimand. We have a second by Mr. Gonzalez. Comments? All in favor, please raise your right hand. It is unanimous. Coach Yebra?
Yes, sir.
You've heard, and we trust that there's lessons to be learned here. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have learned my lesson.
All right. Now, excuse me. Now, school violations. School. I think all of us can sit here and look at this and make a decision that possibly there are some gaps, there are some holes, there are some things that are problematic as far as making sure that things are as they should be. I will say this, I don't have any doubt that Mr. McClenny and Mr. Gutierrez, Mr. Flores, whoever's involved are very serious about this. They want to be the best at what they do. They have reacted, they have done, they have removed a coach in a situation. So they've taken some actions. But the thing that needs to happen here, there's a minimum penalty of a reprimand, and that needs to happen without a doubt. And they need some time on probation, without a doubt, whether it's 2 years or 3 years. And I think we need to take a consideration and make a discussion of whether that is just for this Rowe High School, McAllen Rowe High School, or is it for their entire athletic department? Okay. And that, I don't know, that may be too far reaching.
When you say athletic department, are you referencing the district, or
Yeah,
just the district versus campus?
I'm talking about McAllen, but specifically, we don't know of any other things going on with the other high schools. So probably we're better off to target Rowe High School with whatever we do. Just wanted to make sure that people gave some thought to that as we think through the process. And for me, you need to make the decision as to whether you want it to be just basketball program or at Rowe High School athletic program.
Yeah, my suggestion would be, at this point, I appreciate their due diligence and transparency. Mr. Cavasso made some excellent points that even as new people coming in as administration, if you've got something that flares up, you're going to make an example of that you're going to set the tone for that campus that is not going to be tolerated. So at very minimum, I would recommend 2 years probation, public reprimand. And I might even be interested, and we've done this in the past, mandate training that they report back that they've conducted training with all the athletic department.
Okay. And you talking about for the athletic program at McAllen High School, Rowe High School?
At Rowe High School, the whole program, not just the basketball program.
Okay.
At Rowe High School.
So the motion, let me make sure I understand it. Obviously, the public reprimand or the reprimand is coming. We're talking about 2 years probation for all of Rowe High School athletics. And we're talking about some training that needs to take place and reported back to the district. Did you say the district executive committee or to the state?
Yes, sir.
Which,
You said it better than me. That's exactly what I meant.
Which one?
I would like for it to be reported back to, it needs to be reported back to DEC.
Okay, very good. And then we would like the DEC, I think we would like to see what that result was as well. Okay, that is the motion on the floor. Got a second from Dr. Teal? All right, all in favor, please raise your right hand. All right, it's unanimous. All right. Mr. Gutierrez, and the rest of that staff there, athletic director, Flores as well. We appreciate your eventually getting to a point of recognizing the significance of what's going on. Now it's time for you to be very proactive and take a look at your programs. And good luck to you. Okay.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Cavazos.
Just a quick point, Chair, for the administration, Mr. Gutierrez and McClenny, and of course, the rest of you. This being on probation may be new to you since you were in middle school. So I highly recommend you all huddle really quick and really understand what probation means for a campus, because it can become a slippery slope very quickly for you before us again. So that would be my recommendation. I want to thank you all for what you all do for kids. And this is definitely an unfortunate situation for your kids at Nikki Rowe.
Thank you, sir.
All right. We're going to remove y'all from the meeting at this time. Thank you for your participation. Good luck to all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And I think we are finished for the day. Yeah. Thank you to committee. Tough day, but well done. Appreciate you always. And appreciate the fact that you studied this information, and every time you arrive, you know what's going on, and that's so important. Thank you to the staff for all the information provided and the wisdom and all that you do. Dr. Bright, if you have anything?
Yes, sir. Just to say thanks again, and I want to echo what you just said. You can tell that the committee did their homework, and I appreciate that. I know how much information we sent to you. Caroline got it to you, and you dug deep, and I appreciate your questioning, your line of questioning, very thoughtful questions, and you got the responses needed in order to take the action. So, Mr. Chair, it was a tough day. It's tough, but I don't have to vote. I sit here and listen to all this, and it is very difficult to comprehend all the things that are going on. You've done a wonderful job today, and you helped serve all the kids in the state of Texas today.
All right. Well, listen, I don't think we've got it. Yeah, we got a meeting next week. I don't know if any of the rest of you are involved in it or not, but I'll see you down the road. Dr. Harrison, did you have something you popped in?
No, sir. Just wanted to wave at everybody.
All right. Well, thank you. And Mr. Zepeda, anything?
No, just thank you guys. Long day today, but thank you for hanging in there.
Daryl, thank you. Appreciate you, partner. All right. Caroline, appreciate you. Logan, even you, man. We are adjourned at this point. Thank y'all.
Y'all be safe. Take care.
Thank you, guys. Bye.